Well, your favourite slappers with the snappers are back. Is this called a snapper?
Yeah. For clapper.
Oh, a clapper. Let's get into it.
And now we commence the group therapy session.
Yeah, I'm here for that therapy. Well, I'm here for all therapy,
You're not.
actually.
Those bowl things that they send you to, Lally.
So I can't do a Tibetan bowl. That is the
Neither can Mayhem Miller.
Really?
Oh yes,
God!
true! Gag!
Well, we'll start and then we'll get into it. But hello, beautiful people. I'm Connor.
And I'm Becky.
And together we are Another World Belfast. We have a little message to show some love. And this is our podcast where we recap actually quite recent RuPaul's Drag Race
we're
gossip.
on it.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Thank you for that, Seán. Hello, Seán. How are you?
Sean
Bunch of M&Ms in the corner.
Sean's got a mouthful of M&Ms
Full
right now.
triggering us.
Uh-huh.
It's chocolate.
It's chocolate. We actually, a couple of episodes ago, or I don't know how many for this one, but a few episodes ago, we did an It's Coffee, and that was an It's Chocolate reference.
Yeah.
I know. We never quite got that. Meow. Oh, what's the sound? Meow. Hello to anyone listening in their kitchen, in their bath,
Yeah.
maybe in the car. Mm-hmm. We are live in your ear holes.
Yeah. And if you're into the ASMR thing, we could other people can't do it at all. We could get to Seán to do a bit of chewing into the microphone.
Yeah.
There you go. That was a coffee.
Just
slurp there.
smacking. Just smacking into the. What's next? You having a sausage roll now as well?
No.
He's got a full fucking roast dinner next.
Yeah, full triggered. We've been slimming.
We have been slimming actually. So anyone that would like to comment and let us know that we are that we need a good feed of spuds.
Yeah, skinny legends.
That's what it is. So
No, I have realised that I've been sitting on my arse for about 3 weeks now, doing spreadsheets and paperwork and timetables and rotas and plans and all the rest of it. So how do we step on the scales? Near shit.
yeah. So, I'm actually I'm at my top end. I'm at the top end where I'm sort of just a bit passable for photos if they're taken from another floor.
Dimension.
Yeah, they are. And then you get someone like bloody Bryony Coles come in who's so talented,
Yeah.
but has this lovely idea of just not retouching photos.
Yeah.
So I now know
and then
not
lying
to
on
say.
the floor to take them.
Yeah. So if you're not retouching, you're literally on the floor.
Yeah. In fairness, they're gorgeous.
They're very good. They were the first few photos that we ever took inside a greenhouse, and we weren't even really styled. Sometimes we're like, I've got my beard painted, and that is
You've already let that
We've already let it out.
Yeah.
That's fine. My name's Connor, and I paint my beard on to cover my 3 chins. Hello. But no, we weren't really ready. It was nice. It's actually the sort of pictures that you'll look back on.
Yeah.
And think, oh, that was great. It's sort of the space unprepared. All the tiles were still down. The paint was still messy. The bits of mould and everything were still everywhere. But we've really worked very hard in Greenhouse to make it absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, it's mad, the progress. Everybody's working their butts off. And I think every time, it's weird for me to be so kind of separate from it. Being up in our office and then come downstairs every couple of hours and everything's different again.
Becky's sort of our upper management now. She's way up on the 3rd floor, right up in the corner.
Promoted myself.
She christened it the West Wing, and nobody that is so anyone
Does
that
that
isn't.
sound like me?
I actually christened it the West Wing.
I'm officially going to call Becky is just known as corporate now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anytime I reference Becky, I'm just going to say corporate was saying.
Yeah.
She's our
This message comes down from corporate. Yeah.
she's our CEO.
Yeah.
She's our girl boss.
Yeah.
And really the person that I think it's good to say this out loud as much as possible, but really the person that captains our ship and engineers it to sort of make sure that it's still fucking floating. I make things look lovely.
That's massive jokes.
No, I do. We're very comfortable in that.
Yeah.
You've got your skills from the actual corporate sector.
Yeah.
And they come in so handy. There's so many people within the 3rd sector that you sit down with and you're planning something that are just like, what? Mm. This is how this works. Even our work plan for Greenhouse, people that are coming through, we're sort of giving tours and a few of our volunteers that are managing some of that. I've had them all laid out on the paint tables, and it's pages and pages and pages and pages. It's like we're almost like timed to the minute.
Yeah.
And if we don't do the work, there will be consequences from corporate.
Well, we've got deadlines to achieve, and in fairness, I am so in my happy place. But I think I really want to make sure that it's sort of said in the right way as well, in that we both have our different expertise that we bring. But I think like often people will say to us like, oh, whose idea is that? Or like, oh, like as if I do the finance and you do all of the aesthetics. And it's like, well, actually we kind of both do all of it, you know. It's just that we both have more specialisms and take the lead in different areas, you know. So like people wouldn't think that we were sitting at, this is also what sad acts we are, that we were thinking at 11 o'clock last night rewatching a video call that I had with a software provider.
I thought it was very good.
But I was like so excited after seeing this amazing software that we're going to put in for Greenhouse that means that people can sort of self-manage and they can book rooms and book desks and manage their membership, and there's like a social element to it. You can book events and stuff like that, and it made me like so excited to see it because I can just see the possibilities of it. But then you had exactly the same reaction because it's really important that you also see it and buy into it, and then we get our staff to look at it and board and things like that as well.
Me. You two scare me.
We're going for full world domination. Actually, you can come with us, or you can stand against us.
A new socialist order.
Yeah, it's the dark side. Maybe it's the rainbow side more.
Yeah,
you know, sort of. Is there a black and a rainbow?
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, there should be.
There should be.
It's the absence of colour as well, though, isn't it?
So this week on the podcast, we've talked about Greenhouse quite a lot, and we have talked about ourselves even more than that. But we're going to sort of continue on that vein in terms of ourselves, and we're going to finish what we started with way at the very beginning of this. This is now episode number maybe 20 something.
Yes, well, it depends when we put this one out.
I think it'd be episode 20.
Oh,
Yeah.
episode 20.
I think so.
Mad.
Well, we started off the first few episodes where we're sort of trying to lay out some of our ideas for segments and what we'll be talking about. Now, some of that's changed. We sort of planned to speak to maybe more guests, and we've realised that actually we're going to do maybe once a month. We planned to maybe have a few more segments. We thought we could fit loads more into like an hour.
Yeah.
But the few things that have really stayed are, one is Queers Around the Corner, which is where you guys can send in your questions for us as big queers, and we'll answer them. You can make them as spicy as you want, or some of them have actually been really quite serious. But it's a good way to sort of to have that conversation. And then another segment that is my favourite, really, especially when guests are in, is one called Show and Tell Some Love, where we ask people to bring in an item that means something to them and that they can tell a little bit of a story from. So we started it off by gathering a load of stuff from our house, and we did that together. Sort of run about the house. We did that the night before.
we've done it with Seán as well.
Oh, we did it with Seán as well. But we did that together that night. We filled a box that's here full of some of those items, and we got about halfway through. So today we're actually going to continue that, continue to tell those stories and to...
We listen to feedback.
Thank
as well.
you, Becky. You're an expert. You're an expert.
Where we, where you're saying about, where we bring guests on and then it's just us, so we'll have feedback from people dropping comments or sending us messages or messaging our social media, or people that we just talk to in the street or whatever, or that come to our project or volunteer. And, we listen to what people want to hear as well. 'Cause there's no point us just like sitting here and gassing away about whatever we think is important. Although obviously we'll talk about the things that are important to us within that context. But we got a bit of feedback that said that people love having the guests on, but they want to see us just talking, just the two of us as well.
Yeah.
So that's why we're trying to sort of play with the cadence of it and stuff as well.
I love having guests on, and we're very excited for some of the guests that we have coming up.
Yeah.
Some of the collaborations and some of the crossovers and things that we've got planned. It's all going to be very exciting. But I also I think it's really important to have the space and time to talk about maybe some of the current issues, which we are maybe a little bit more able to do if we're not MLAs, for example.
Yeah.
And it's nice for us to have the time to oh God, I'm lost
Because
today.
you're starving.
I'm starving. Do you know what I had for my breakfast today, Seán?
What?
A bag of eggs. A fucking
Bag of boiled eggs.
Sorry, what I actually did was I got lost in it, and really we're so tired. I'm sorry, I got lost in it. But Oh God, I don't know what it is.
What is it? I don't know.
But we were talking about the... Oh, yes, also, I think as well, just listening back and listening to the other podcast, sometimes when it's just a couple of people, there's a little bit less of a crossover in terms of sound.
Yeah.
Because it's us two plus you and then plus a guest sometimes, which, because there are people that we know and people that we love that we want to kiki with, and we sort of sometimes get on. Like, remember Sassy was on, we got on, like we were in the back of some bar somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, I loved it too, and it was a great energy for that time of year.
And for that day. We needed that.
But we really needed that because we were recording a really difficult podcast before that. But it's sometimes a little bit nicer, hopefully, to listen to just to a few people, you know, that kind of way.
Totally.
To have that variety is good. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have the mad ones, sometimes you have the more serious chats.
Exactly.
And you can never predict which way one is going to go.
Yeah.
Like, even I was recording Mudblood the other day, and they had Tom Stade in, who's like phenomenal Canadian comedian. Amazing. Like one of my favourites, like even in the world. But he is like so just crazy and mental. And the last time he done a podcast with us, he was like just mental, you know, like just going like, it was one of those ones. It was like the sassy one. It was just everybody shouting over each other, just all laughing the whole time.
Yeah.
So I was expecting a similar sort of thing this time, and came in, and it was like that for like 5 minutes. And then the rest, it was like an hour and a half of like serious talk.
Great.
That's good.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I suppose it's like, as you say, like variation is good, because I suppose what we do is quite complex. You know, like we will have talking. We're artists. We're creatives, and like those can be seen as like similar but different things. We run a charity. We what we do is like quite business-like.
We're gluten free.
Yeah, we have something to say about politics. You know, we have something to say about economics. We have something to say about lots of stuff that happens in society. So I suppose whenever we've got a blend of all different types of episodes, it means that some people. But I suppose a bit like our favourite ever podcast is Blind Boy, obviously. And Blind Boy does the same thing. That sometimes it's talking about like Irish mythology, sometimes it's talking about politics, sometimes it's talking about sociology or different subjects, you know, or sometimes it's a mental health podcast or it's a hot take, you know, and having that different type of thing means that everybody kind of who has a preference gets a bit of something that they want.
We're going to have hardcore fans, you know, who listen to everything and like eat up everything we do, but there's also going to be people who like to check in and out depending on what the episode is and what it's about, and if it's their bag, baby, you know?
There's something about the idea of fans that's it's relevant to this space, but it's such a weird
Concept
thought. You know, you're much more in the world of you know, you've got groupies. Hello. You know.
Hi, Seán.
For a search party. And then you're in a comedy podcast world a lot of the time, and that really goes with that. For us, doesn't that feel strange? No, we sort of get people who are really, and we love it, but people who are really into it and listen to it every week. You'll then see them and you try to tell them one of your bait out stories, and you've actually already told it 3 times in 20 episodes. You know, I would love it if you hear. So what happens on Trixie and Katja's podcast is if they repeat, they'll just say that's a repeat. If you hear a repeat, because we can't hear it ourselves because it's from our memory, just feel free to say this is a repeat, and we can say
or just like put the same 20 episodes back out again for the next 20 weeks and just like nobody notices.
Play them if you play them.
Say all the same shit all the time anyway.
If you play them backwards, there's a special message for you.
Yeah. This is love some show.
Love some show.
That's the name of the episode.
Love some show. My favorite.
I didn't think of that before.
My favorite episode name was The War on Dergs.
Yeah.
I really liked that.
You know that, like, I was nearly going to make it Derg Dealers Will Be Shat. Only I didn't want to put Shat onto the title in case we got banned by YouTube.
A great wee bit of joy you can get from naming episodes, like, isn't it? I love it. You know, it's a wee bit of extra creative.
Freedom. Exactly.
Just
I like to surprise Connor with it.
When I watch the episode, I'm like, the War on Dergs. Stop that. You know?
But it's like, the no regrets.
That's a gag.
That was
And
a perfect
You got
thing
the
you put
reference
in.
for that.
Yeah, you
still-
so get us, Seán.
Did you ever watch any of the I Love Cats thing?
No.
You know,
must send
we'll
it to
send
you.
it to you. It is so
But
good.
Did you notice I finally found the right yay?
Yes, it
I-
changed.
I found another one, and because I have like specific, no, like copyright free,
Yes.
like sound effects places that I find stuff on, but like literally, and I couldn't find that yay.
I thought the one that
On
you were
anyone.
doing was the right yay. Excuse
No,
me, I
like-
just realised I've got a wee bit of dry skin on my nose, and I don't want to look like I'm picking my nose. Okay, that's
Okay.
be fine. I promise I wasn't.
Perfect.
I was searching everywhere for it and couldn't find it. It's subtly different. And then finally I found it. It's like the first one that comes up if you just type in copyright free yay, like children like cheering on YouTube.
Was the other one not copyright free? The first one that you were using?
No, it was, but it was just from like a specific, you know, like sound effect like library, but they've just used one off YouTube.
On the new one, I know that you've worked very hard to find that new sound, but the new yay, and we'll play it. But the new yay, we have to pay £1 every time we make that fucking request.
But we should also, for reference, have the old yay.
We actually.
I missed
so that
the
people
old
can
yay.
compare and contrast.
Stop. We were watching it, and I kind of forgot that it happened. Life is mad at the moment, but we were watching it, and there was you heard the new yay,
Yeah.
and I think it sounds too much like children.
Yeah.
It sounds, there's something about it. The other yay is like young people, so it's maybe like an assembly for a high school. The other one is it's there's something a bit rotten about it. It sounds like children.
Yeah, the new yay
You were
is
leaking something there.
anti-Semitic, and I don't like his music. I liked the college dropout yay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Good. Well, we'll get to, we've got so much we want to talk about. We actually stopped talking about it before we got on because we were already both sort of late where we're here. We got in and then we continued to have a conversation that was like 20 minutes long about law and order and everything else. But like before we get so far distracted that we get to the end of the podcast and we have to run through these items,
Yes.
let's get into it when it comes to our show and love. Some tell.
We're good at naming stuff.
Perfect.
We like naming things.
I actually, when I said it before there in the intro, I thought, yeah, I've got that. Yeah, it's show and tell some love, but no. So will we randomly pick?
Can I start with the one that I specifically brought because I brought it home with me because it's so precious to me?
I think so.
So I should probably have left this for last. No, hold it together. So this is a little. I'm going to do the thing that people do in beauty videos.
I love it. Yes.
So this is like a little brooch that my granny gave to me many years ago, and it's like a little. I sort of like have it down as like a little kind of like astrology star type thing. Only that's not. It's like old, but it's just paste costume jewelry. And she gave me a necklace that matched it. But I remember her giving it to me I must have been in my 20s, so like over 20 years ago, with a bit of a, take this now because you just never know what happens, in later years. And God love her, she foretold kind of the worst. So I suppose this is a bit of like... there's no such thing as oversharing. I'll just share it.
I'll just say it.
Yeah. So my granny is sort of one of the major influences and inspirations in my life. Her name was Minnie, and she was just a real fierce woman, as so many women that were born in this sort of. I want to say she was born in around 1919 or 1920. So lived through like the last century. Made it until she was maybe I want to say 96. But she was fierce, and she was the person that would do our homeworks with us, could actually do the maths when my parents couldn't, both intelligent people. But she would always have been, whenever she was part of the church, she would be the, like a treasurer of something or a secretary of something, or, she joined lots of things and always I think people were quite scared of her. A lot of the time I remember going to Sunday school and the other kids, because she taught in Sunday school, being my granny was the scary teacher of all of them, which I kind of love now as an adult, But she was also very, very talented at sewing and making and creating and
Meals on Wheels.
And she did things like Meals on Wheels. She would be doing that until she did a thing called the Wednesday Club, which she started in Fisherwick Church. That's now being, I think, run by a lady called Sheila, who was very kind to me when Granny passed away. But she did the Wednesday Club, and I think her and Granda were like in their 70s, and they were doing it for the really old people. Do you know what I mean? Which now I totally get, like knowing people in their sort of 60s and 70s now, which is not old at all. But she was one of the major inspirations for our work now and for Greenhouse. And I know that like if she was alive, she would have absolutely loved it. She would have been all biz. But yeah, you know, whenever she passed away, my family, in their wisdom, because I'm, I suppose, the black sheep, because I stood up to them and this is not my mum, it's my dad's side of the family, but I stood up to my dad and basically said I wasn't taking any more of a shit because he was just being really quite hateful towards my mum and my stepdad and things like that. And then like I found out what the definition of gaslighting was. Now I'm very precious about people misusing that term because it is a literal definition. And my dad gaslit my mum and me later on, and really my granny in the end too, because they didn't even give her a funeral. And it was one of the things that was really important to her, like for, you know, whenever people get older and then they start, you know, making asks and requests about that sort of thing, she was very specific about what she wanted. And then they didn't even do it for her in the end. So I had to go to the church and ask them, because she was a real part of that community. I asked them, is there something that we can do, like some sort of a service or something? And they were very kind. The minister and Sheila, who took over the Wednesday Club, were able to do a wee bit of they spoke about her in church, and I was able to go, and my mum and my stepdad went, and a few of our closest people. And I commissioned like a crystal vase to be done with a message and inscription in it to go in and sort of be part of the I suppose the furniture of the church. Even though I'm not a religious person, don't really believe in any of it, any religion, but I knew that it was really important and special to her, you know. So at least I hope I was able to do her proud in that. But right, let's go on to the next thing, because that's
really lovely, Becky.
But it's the
Thank you,
reason.
love.
It's the reason for having a funeral, for bringing your community together, for highlighting, for giving the highlight reel of your life and your achievements, for everything that you've worked towards.
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
respect as well.
It is
you know?
It comes down to respect, and unfortunately.
But you know what the reason they gave was? Sure, all her friends are probably dead now anyway, and it's like it's not about that. Like that whole side of my family, with some exceptions, some of my cousins are lovely people, but a lot of that side of my family are just really quite hateful and mean, and you know, there's not a lot of love, and I've never really felt like a warmth or family. They all would fight with each other, and like I never had any relationships with my aunties and uncles or anything like that.
Do you want to put him
which
on?
Probably broke. Well, do you know what? I'm not going to put it on now, just because I don't want to mess about with it. But I do always, if I'm doing something special, like whenever we run the One Show, for example, I'll put my granny's brooch on. So if I am ever going to something like going to something at City Hall, for example, or you know going to something a wee bit special, I'll tend to bring granny's brooch with me just as a wee
International Women's Day, you were speaking, and loads of bits.
So yeah.
We know it's a big moment when Becky arrives to the back door and she's wearing the brooch.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, right, it's a moment for us to remember.
But it's also a night that I'll not be going off and getting blocked, because I wouldn't risk losing it.
Yeah. Well, that's your first item. What we're going to do is we're going to do a lucky dip into the box. And we're going to pick out some of the items, some of the other items that I forget what they even were.
Which is good.
Okay, so this is... Oh, this is actually... That was actually part of our original set dressing. Oh! It was a lovely card. I won't actually just... 1 second, I won't actually just drop it. It's actually from John, Maggie, Sarah and Kevin. It was for my birthday, and it was actually a card that we cut.
Yeah,
you're supposed, most people bin them, but we cut it, and it said like you're awesome or something. They're so supportive to us.
Wonderful
They've
family.
been so helpful over the years.
We love them
and
all.
It's the story of our project. It's not just crazy hippie gays that are like shouting in the streets. It's people living all around Belfast of all sorts who have different experiences, that can see that we're putting the work in, that our community's trying to make a change happen, and can support in ways like Maggie would come when we really needed it, when we were selling our wee candles and we could barely afford to heat her house. She would come and she'd buy out.
Yeah, everybody in her family got a candle for Christmas, and they had this wonderful rule, and it was like their Christmas presents. You had to be able to either eat it, drink it, or slap it. Eat it, drink it, burn it, or slap it on your arse. And that was the rules that they had for their family, sort of Secret Santa. So Maggie would come and buy like 10 candles at a time, and everybody in her family would get one, and then the candle pot would be kept, and she'd put a wee plant in it afterwards. Or like the van would break down, and you'd put in a help message out there, or
so
your
good.
bike.
Yeah.
And then John, next thing, would be like, where are you? I'll come and get you. Or do you need me to come, or bring it to the house and I'll sort it out for you. And Sarah,
The
who's
daughter,
volunteered with us for years, and is
Yeah.
just an absolute sweetheart. Just this wonderful family who just have helped us in so many ways.
Kevin, who's on that card but hasn't done anything.
I know, Kevin, where are you?
He's reasonably friendly when you go into the house.
No, but apparently Kevin's a plumber, so we're keeping him on
Oh,
side.
yes. we're waiting to
We
use the
have needs,
services.
Kevin. Now's your
In
time.
fairness,
It's your
we've-
moment to shine.
We've got a list now.
Yeah.
So that aside, my next pick from the box was this lovely picture. I'm going to hold it up and do my Jeffree Star moment. Hopefully you don't see my bloody nails.
Or reflections.
Or reflections. We'll sort of move it around. But this little picture, it's really special to us. We have lots of these little frames. We must have got them in Ikea or something, or somewhere that they were
Wee
going cheap.
cheapies.
And we printed a load of images. I remember at the time I was really, really struggling, and you would. You would take pictures, print them, and it would sort of really, like, we would have them around the house. It would really help to ground me and attach me to the people that are around us. I think it's like one of the most useful things you can do when you think that you're alone. And I wasn't alone, I was with you. But when you think that you're alone and you think, you're having thoughts that you maybe don't want to be here anymore, it's just one of the things that sort of kept me on the planet is those connections. And it's one thing that you actually try to do if you're really struggling with your mental health or any of that sort of ideation, is push people away. These little pictures in and around the house mean so much to me even now, because it's part of I think Becky trying to do that. So this picture itself, we all look bloody gorgeous in as an aside.
It's a particularly nice one.
It was whenever you used to have a very nice house.
It was very at the
I mean, our
beginning.
house is lovely now, but Becky used to live in this bloody doll's house. It was stunning.
Yeah.
Had a big island. In her kitchen, had a couple of fridges. I don't know, these are the things that I find impressive.
Yeah, the American fridge, the ice maker, that kind of way.
I remember that. I remember moving in. I moved in after your husband did a runner. Long story, we'll do the whole thing one day.
Yeah.
But I remember there was a whole fridge that was just
It's a rerun.
yeah, it's a rerun. But no, there was a whole. I'm a Diet Coke addict, and now it's whatever other drink that isn't funding genocide. But it was. I had at the time a whole fridge of Diet Coke, and I remember just thinking, oh my god, am I living with like fucking Usher here? No, just someone that's being paid reasonably well, and I was just being absolutely skint-toed. But no, this picture is in Becky's kitchen, and it was actually after the first night that we were packing all of our coffee scrubs. So we first started. In fact, one of our logos that you might see out and about says "Another World Belfast from the ground up," and it was based off the fact that of that saying and about building up and not just following the kind of classic often broken charity model. Sort of building ourselves and being self-sustaining and all the rest of it. But we had made these. We had got these coffee grounds. We had mixed them with lots of oils and salts and things. We actually landed on an absolutely killer formulation.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Our formula, and we made and sold it, and it helped to fund our project in the very beginning. It hasn't been around for a while because we just haven't had time to physically make the product. We do have the tubs, we do have the stickers. It's going to come back at some stage. We keep on saying it. I think it's going to come back mostly because I am down to. We keep on finding wee bits of pots,
And we keep getting requests for it as well. That's
Yeah.
the other thing. Like Vic is like, guys, so I've only got a wee bit left, and it's like,
Yeah.
right, we will make you something anyway.
Well, might
but
do
we
a
will
coffee-
reinstate it soon.
maybe a coffee scrub workshop or something.
Yeah,
That'd be nice.
I think so.
But this was basically the night that we packed those scrubs. So we were putting labels onto this craft paper, these packages that were meant for dry material, not for
Oily
wet
products.
stuff. So it was very stressful. We were putting the stickers on everything, of course, because it's us doing it. Had to be absolutely perfect. We've actually stepped away from that a wee bit, where I would have been so hyper focused on everything just being so set. Now I'm not. It's not like it'll do or it'll be grand.
Far from it.
Far from it. But it's at least we've got a little bit.
It's
more
recovering
relaxed.
perfectionism,
Yes.
But
But that was that night that we had made those. It was very stressful. We got to about 3 in the morning making them, and we all took that wee snap, and then we went off the next day to the Sunflower, which is the first ever market we ever had, and I think we sold about 2 of them. And
we thought we were brilliant.
yeah, we actually did think we were brilliant, didn't we?
But in this picture as well is your lovely cousin Emma, who's been so supportive
Oh my
to us
God.
over the years. We love her very, very much. Just like one of the world's best humans that you can imagine. And our lovely friend Matt as
Yeah.
well. So, who's also, we had a really great time living in Consbrook Avenue with Matt as our neighbour
Yeah.
whenever Matt lived in Belfast. And we saw Matt not that long ago, looking
He's a
great
sweetie.
and doing well.
A beautifully mad, very sweet person. But yeah, just to touch on Emma, she's really been there for me, and she's really seen us at the worst time. I travelled with Emma for years, and she had to stick my mental drug addicted craziness, and she's had to put up with a lot. I lived with her at that time, which for her, Emma is very neat, and she
You're
really,
not.
No.
That's a nice way to say that.
Like, we would be halfway through a party and it would be 6 or 7 in the morning. We'd be standing in the kitchen smoking fags and all the rest of it. And Emma, I do you remember her coming down one night and she was bleaching the tops, and we were like, Emma, I know you want it clean and the place isn't tidy, but we are not sober, and we're
still partying.
but we're still partying.
Yeah.
We can barely see the fucking back door. Never mind go out for a fag.
Yeah.
But we do. She now lives in England with her gorgeous partner Lee, and we really love her.
And we're so glad that she's so happy.
Oh.
Because she deserves all the happiness. But yeah, she was really instrumental. She's featured a lot in a lot of our images and things like
She's
that.
the
from our
original
early
squirrel
years.
baby.
The original squirrel baby. But yeah, beautiful memories.
Yeah, she's been there. And actually, that summer that we first launched the coffee scrub, and then we went off to Ibiza.
Yeah.
She then did that market for the whole summer, and loads of other bits. Emma was always that person. Now we've got this wonderful team. We've actually got staff and everything else. But Emma was one of those people that we called on whenever we were stuck, and she was just always there. So thank you. Okay, so next up in our box. Got this little baby.
Oh, well, we have talked about Eugene before.
Oh, did we already talk about him?
We have talked about Eugene. Eugene practically got his own episode, but this was like a baby Eugene. This is like a sort of a handbag-sized Eugene for convenience. But actually, I think baby Eugene should live on our set.
That's my fish. And I don't want to talk about it. Like, do you know what I'm going to have to do is actually bring the box over?
Yeah.
Because this is not working.
Also, I should say that the rustliness of your shell top is also an ASMR thing, as
Oh,
well.
do you
People
think-
will wear, like, there you go, Sean's got one on too. We're all,
Sean's
I'm
wearing
not sportswear today.
Football top, a matching tracky top, and just a jock strap. It's amazing.
This OnlyFans content that we're creating is just going to be. Oh yeah, there you go.
That was our-
That was to be on the set.
Our yes queen.
Oh,
So
there you go.
it actually-
That's
it-
there. Yeah.
It made it to the set. So next up, we've got these. What about that? Aren't these amazing?
Yeah.
So there's a couple of things to talk about with these. Number one is fresh garbage.
Yeah.
So Fresh Garbage, I'm sure you all know it. It's a shop in the town that sells all sorts
Legendary.
of stuff. It is legendary. It's a real kind of it's if you're not from Belfast and you're watching from somewhere else, it's kind of that hippie shop that's in all the towns, but really on steroids. It's
Or
full
like Hot
of
Topic.
Yeah, it's like Hot Topic if you're in the
an
US.
independent Hot Topic.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's very
so much
famous,
more.
and it's full of their staff are so sweet.
Yeah.
They're so
Family business.
They're so welcome, and they're just so lovely, and they have to deal with all the weird stoner emo children.
Yeah.
Like they're so cool. I remember,
And it's got such a long history too.
My mum would go to Fresh Garbage.
So did mine. Like,
yeah.
it was one of her like we prayed like things like when I used to come and be like, I was in Fresh Garbage, to be like, I used to go to Fresh Garbage.
I had that same
when
experience.
it was round in what do you call it, Chapel Lane.
Yeah.
Like,
it was 1960s. I think it's maybe 1969 because I remember looking years ago and thinking, oh, that's
Cool
a
year.
good date. Yeah,
it's class. Love Fresh Garbage.
I remember that whenever I was getting into, so in about 1991, I was Nirvana was a thing, and I was kind of like starting into secondary school, like figuring out who the hell I was. Everybody would go and get their school bag from Alcatraz, so that you would with Tipex, you'd put like the Slayer S on it and all of those kind of, and you'd put studs on it yourself and things. It was like a thing that you did. You bespoke your own bag, carried fuck all. Like,
What was the bag called?
The bag was just like an army bag. Like it was this sort of like woven thing, and then you would deliberately fray the edges of it and stuff, and you would put studs on it. And let's bring those bags back. Let's go and speak to Gary in the army surplus shop in Smithfield and see if they have any more of those bags.
I fucking love his shop.
Yeah,
And
he's amazing as well.
I don't know if I've talked about it before in the podcast, so I'll get back to Fresh Garbage, but he's also a ballroom dancer.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
So one night we
sells
were
like
in-
knives and like artillery gear.
Like bullets on key rings and
Yeah.
stuff. It's all very butch.
And he's a ballroom dancer.
And he's a ballroom dancer. I
love
remember
it.
going in one day, we were doing a shoot with them, and we were using lots of locations in and around Smithfield when we were based there, and doing a wee bit of press to sort of just talk about the wonderful area and all the sort of great businesses that are there. And we went in to talk to him, and he says, well, look, we're going to have the conversation now, but we've got to make it quick because I've got to go. And I says, where are you going? Thinking he's going to a wedding or something. And he says, I'm actually a ballroom dancer. He says, I'm going to like a ballroom dancing competition. He says, I'm just really into it. This is my family business. I've always done it. I know it doesn't sort of sit in line with the ballroom scene.
And his family owned Alcatraz as well. That was the thing.
Oh, Alcatraz, that's what I was trying to get to, those bags.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But like
Alcatraz. What do you mean?
It was the shop that was where you would go and get your army surplus. Sorry, this is like Tales of the Olden Days from Becky. That should probably be a segment. But like, I can really hear the chair farting now as well. But so it used to be in Corn Market before they had the whole like statues there. There used to be like a bandstand and stuff in it, and it would be where all the goths and the emos and anybody who was like alternative would go and meet. But within there was a shop called Alcatraz, and it was basically like the army surplus shop is now, only it was located there. Right. So that would be where everyone would go and get their completely impractical school bags that said that you were a metaler and you wore DMs and all the rest of it. Yes. But Fresh Garbage was where you would go and get all the other stuff. But it would have like, so I remember whenever I was like 11 or 12 going and getting this like, the stuff that you have those shoes made out of that is like that sort of, the drugs, those like...
Oh, my witch shoes.
Your witch shoes.
Shoes
but also
bought fresh from a witch. We'll tell you the story someday.
What are they called? Those...
Like suede?
No, they're like a woven thing, but it's like Bolivian. Rug. No, but drug rug, but they're not... Ponchos.
Oh, a poncho.
A poncho. Do you remember, like, people would wear those ponchos with the one pocket on the front? That's where you would go and get those, was Fresh Garbage as well, or like all of the tie-dyed stuff. Now they do all of the mad print leggings and all of the weird sunglasses and stuff like that. But they always, you would have gone and got your nice rings and jewellery and I suppose as well for people that aren't from Belfast. But anything that was all your smoking materials or sundries,
do they sell that?
They do. Apparently they sell cigarette papers and bongs.
Good.
Yeah, they do. And
I remember coming home with like a wee incense burner and like a packet of incense, and it was like marijuana.
Yeah.
Or something. Yeah. And my man coming in my room going, marijuana?
That's the one you chose.
Yeah.
Or like the wee patchouli oil bottles. That was the thing. I went and got a wee bottle of patchouli oil, and my mum was like, "Oh, I used to wear patchouli oil," and it was wee tiny. It's gorgeous. I love it. And the best incense that was one of our moments of connection with you whenever we walked in and we could smell Nag Champa, which is the best incense that everybody likes. Yeah. And I kind of get sick of every other smell I've ever smelled in incense. I never get sick of Nag Champa. For me, it's the smell of like safety and calm and so many things. But these sunglasses are from there.
So there's sort of a two-pronged point to this. So one is that they're from Fresh Garbage, and we were so honoured that the first people to ever stock our Show Some Love t-shirts, which you can find at anotherwellbelfast.com/shop.
Or Bullet.
Or Bullet Hotel, actually, but the first people to ever get on board and sell them was Fresh Garbage. I think before we even sold them online, they were doing it for us. So they got on board, and I remember at the time going to Stental that summer.
Yeah.
And we sort of were doing a thing at Stental, and they were there, and I remember sitting around a fire at about 4 a.m. We were working the next day, so we were conscious not to get too wrecked, but we were sitting drinking and sitting with the Fresh Garbage ones.
Yeah.
And I have never felt more cool.
Yeah. It's like childhood dreams, you know, like being friends with the Fresh Garbage ones.
Like you have to, and they'll watch this, and you don't have the same opinion about yourself, but there is sort of like a iconic, legendary thing about that your woman that works there.
Yeah.
It seems like none of them, they've all worked there. Oh, Amy.
Yeah.
They've all worked there for years, and it seems like none of them have aged.
Yeah.
My memory of them when I was like 15 is still, they're the same person.
Weirdly same for me.
Yeah.
You know, like even though I'm possibly older than most of them, that I'm like, hang on a second, like what is in the water in this building? Like, are you guys all like just some sort of Time Lords or something like that? That it's just like Fresh Garbage is just like this place that you could just never changes. And it doesn't, because it's timeless.
My friend I grew up with, his dad worked in there. And I thought it was the coolest thing in his dad worked in there. Like,
it is.
It is.
Well, the other prong to these glasses is that we also use them for costumes, because we would do walkabout and festival performance and a bit of go-go and all that kind of stuff. We rarely have it. It rarely happens in Belfast. Because our characters are very broad Belfast, and something about it doesn't quite...
It's also like, because people like know more likely to know who we are in our other work in Belfast. So it's kind of weird. Like we once put on performance costumes to go to... Sorry, Sean's just giggling away.
I'm sorry, they're just so funny as well.
Yeah. They are.
I don't think they're funny. I think they're stylish.
That makes them funnier. But like we wore performance costumes to Mince the first time that it opened, and then people would be coming up to you and being like, "Well, how's it going? Did you get the wee shop open and stuff?" And it's the weirdest thing to be like in performance makeup and hats and like dressed as a glitter ball, and people are just like having a normal conversation with you. Because when you're in costume, you have an act that goes with it, and it doesn't fit in Belfast.
It's important not to step out of the character.
Yeah, exactly.
So then when someone wants to speak to you, the person that they've known for years, it's very it's very difficult. It's why if you're a performer, you will go side of stage, up a wee alley, behind some bins to go and have a fag.
Yeah.
Because you don't want... Do you remember that day we went out dressed as elves?
Yeah.
And I was like, the guy really need to smoke. And I don't know what I was smoking then, but something. And we had this trolley that we give it back, but we stole it from Yorkgate.
We borrowed it.
We borrowed it from Yorkgate, and we
National
filled it
Elf
with
Service.
loads of toiletries. It was called the National Elf Service. Bernie McAllister came to take photos. We got in the papers. No, it was a gag.
Bernie.
But it was real.
Yeah.
I love Bernie.
Bernie.
She's a legend. But it was that day. Do you remember going up the side of those apartments and being like, I really need a smoke?
Yeah, but you can't be in an elf costume smoking a cigarette because a child might see you.
Well, we were
Do you
actually
know?
smoking it, and then a kid was coming up the street, and only that we had put it behind our costumes. That kid looked right up the alleyway and was like, hello. And we were like, oh God, that is so lucky.
But
Lucky
you have
that
a
we're
responsibility, you know?
You're like, it doesn't get any better, kid.
Yeah, like Bad Santa.
So that's the story of them. And they also, if you've been to our shop or you were in our shop whenever it was open down on Wine Tavern Street, these were often adorning something like a disco ball.
Or Stephen would wear them whenever our
Stephen.
beautiful, wonderful, glorious friend Stephen from Cork. And whenever Stephen goes to Cork, he's called Stephen from Belfast. But Stephen's one of our like just wonder friends, you know, that we kind of is just always there for us, has helped us in so many immeasurable ways in our project. If we've got to move site, Stephen and Don will be there with the van to help us move.
He's seen us at the worst of times, and he's really been there for us. Times where we just turn up to his house and cry, and tell him everything, and he would help us to process that, and he would make you a wee cup of tea, and he would just listen. I feel closer to Stephen. I don't see him a lot, but I feel closer to Stephen than most people I've met on the planet. There's just something about the energy of that man that is so... We'll bring him in someday. We'll talk to him someday on this.
100%.
It'll be the spiciest episode
Yeah, there'll be
ever.
a lot of bleeping on that episode, I would say.
But he's a sweetie.
He's
Hello,
amazing.
Stephen. We love you so much, and we're so grateful to be your friend.
Yeah.
Or your friends. So next up, I have something that's very, very special. That has been. We have a board. We have a board on in our kitchen with sort of all wee bits, because I love bits. So like everywhere from a bloody bus ticket that we don't remember what it's for anymore, through to a ticket for something or a memory.
Wee
or
memories.
whatever. So that's on that board, and I took this off all that time ago at the start of the podcast. But this is Becky's Shine card.
Yeah,
So
my Shine membership card.
you might have to do it because you've at least did your nails. Gorgeous.
And the thing to point out is that it's number 80. You know, there would have been hundreds of these things put out. But now, I believe this was like their second iteration of them. But that was my Shine membership card, and like one of the most, my favourite memories of life. And I've still got friends from it today, is before the days of social media. The Shine website was one of the main sort of conversation platforms for people into music and clubbing and all kinds of stuff. But people who went to Shine would go onto the Shine chat room, and it was called like the Shine board. We still have shout out to Ferg, one of our volunteers that I met through the Shine board. Johnny Douglas, who runs Ulster Sports Club. Michael from Ulster Sports Club is also a Shine board person.
Johnny Tiernan.
So Johnny Tiernan, Ginger Pate, Jenny, and
Peter Johnson.
So I'm not even going to start to try and name people yet, but there are so many people now that are still friends that connected via this Shine board. And it was like I remember going away to Ibiza in 2001 and staying connected with home, because I'd be like messaging onto the Shine board from Ibiza and stuff, and everybody would just like really champion you. Like whenever I was doing the radio show with Johnny Tiernan, like the guys that were on the Shine board were the ones that were listening and giving feedback, and it was them that I was able to go, right, does anybody want to send me a mix? And then I'll put it on the show, or if anybody has a track that they want to play, I'll put it on the show. So it was just like a community before we had social media. It was a social... It was an internet social community type thing, but it's now the idea of it would be quite alien to people. But I love the idea, and we'll hopefully clip this out and get it onto social media. But I love the idea of doing like a shine board get together at some point in the new space. This is the gorgeous thing about having a space, is that all of a sudden you can have an idea and you can be like, well, we do this, and you don't have to worry about going and getting it hosted or whatever. You can just say, right, it's going to be on a Thursday night at 6:00. Like, come along, and all the ones from the shine board can all get to see each other again.
What's that on the back? So there's a couple of wee pictures of Hello Kitty, like lovely wee stickery things. But what is that? Is that a?
It's a hologram, a shine hologram, but it looks like it's been cut off a ticket, because it
does,
used to
doesn't
be
it?
you
'Cause
would get a physical ticket for a
look,
club.
It's actually, so it's the way they used to do tickets. We actually looked at it, but it was very expensive to get the paper. But you can get tickets or flyers or whatever that are roaches. So you would, is that the same thing? You would
I
sort of pull
don't
them
think
apart?
this one was. No, I think they've just done it because there used to be a bit that would tear off and hand in. So people would get to keep their ticket, but the tear off and hand in bit you would keep in the club would keep it.
Yes.
So it would mean that the ticket had been
So
spent or not. So you couldn't just like pass it on. But everybody wanted to keep their tickets. Like, I have got boxes of flyers and ticket stubs and posters and stuff like that. Sometimes the likes of Timmy or some of the guys that have been running clubs for years will do a wee call out. Yeah. For them.
Oh no, that's very special. I think
there's not a date or anything like that on it, but I imagine that it's probably from like 1998 or 99, something like that.
I love that it's number 80, because it's sort of like, you know, that joke, you know, like that people say at roast. And it's like, oh
yeah,
you're so old, you were patient number 1. You know,
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
you were patient 0.
Yeah.
No, I loved collecting tickets. I have like a whole like big box of like concert tickets and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's for that reason, like we're by the time this episode goes out, we'll have announced like we're doing a headline show.
Where are you going?
In the Empire.
Yes.
So good.
And the Empire like gives
We
you the
be in
option.
Search Party.
We be in Search Party, yeah. So it's going to be a big
Blow.
show. And one of the things is that like the Empire gives you the option of like you list your own tickets or they can do it for you. But if you opt for them to list the tickets for you, they do it through Ticketmaster, which is a very problematic site.
Yeah.
But and like has a whole monopoly on the fucking live music scene. And you know, they're awful. But like there was something about it. I was like when I was collecting all those wee Ticketmaster tickets of going to concerts and stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, I would have loved to seen like me being on that ticket.
Yes.
I was going, so like, if it's just for this once, I was like,
Just
put
for
it on Ticketmaster.
just for those
so it's
memories.
like-
Yeah,
yeah,
totally.
and I'm just going to buy a physical ticket so I can like see that.
When are you going to do that?
Do you have the
Sean?
date?
It's the 15th of November.
Oh, wonderful.
It's the day before my birthday, so we'll be like finishing our set, and it'll be my birthday.
Cool.
And how old are you going to be on your birthday?
28,
Wow.
What year were you born?
1996.
You're a fucker. So that card that I got, you were like just born. You were only like 2, maybe.
Oh, maybe.
And it could have been 97, 98, I'm not sure. But yeah.
Well, next up on this episode of Back in My Day,
Yeah.
we are going to be talking. We're going to be talking about this lovely thing.
Yeah.
So this is one of our. It's actually half burnt.
So you can see like the kind of the before and after.
Oh yes.
From this
That's really
to
good.
this.
Yeah. So when we first started making our candles, we were hand pouring them all in our kitchen, and we were then spraying them out in the back garden because there was nowhere else to spray them.
Yeah.
I think a few times we sprayed them out the back of Collins Water Shopping Centre.
Yeah. Our wheelie bins are all covered in spray paint and like
Covered.
patterns and like stencils and stuff like that. So nobody's ever stealing our bins.
But it just means like it's these little items in and around the house, and it sort of gradually got a wee bit more wracked because it's had paint on a metal tin.
Yeah, they were varnished though, but it's just paint on metal.
It's
so
been
gonna,
years.
Yeah.
But we're really proud of them, and we love when we're in. I suppose we're not in anyone else's house, but people would know. But people like Maggie that we talked about there, that would take the candles. Burn them out. A good tip if you've got candles and they're done is put them in the freezer, and then you can knock the wax out, and then you can replant them or you can wick them or whatever. But I love when people do that, you know.
Or stick a
and-
wee tea light in it and just use the tin as a wee candle holder type thing.
But
So,
these are, it's just a real. It's even physically to touch it. It's a real.
Yeah.
It's a real memory, you know. And now we actually, our candles are still hand poured, but they are hand poured by someone else down in Bangor.
Yes, the lovely Pat.
Oh, the lovely Pat, who we love and is so sweet and does. I don't think we're allowed to say this, but whatever. He does candles for Kylie and for who else? Westlife.
Yeah,
and
just really fancy
some
ones, like
fancy
really
hotels.
fancy brands. I think he does like the
Yes.
merchant candle maybe or something like
I
that.
think that was definitely the one we shouldn't have said, but
No, I don't think there's any reason why not. They're hardly going to make their own candles.
hi, you Petra. How's it going? But yes, so we're very, very lucky to have them make like the very small batches that we have to order
Yeah.
and to take the very small amount of budget that we have.
He
to give
nearly
them.
wet himself whenever we told him that we were calling one of our candles the wanky candle.
Yes.
It was like there's probably not that many in jokes whenever it comes to the candle making trade, but the fact that we were actually naming it wanky candle was a gag.
This at the time was called Priscilla, which is named after our caravan that we took out to Ibiza and all the rest of it. And we'll do a full Ibiza episode someday. But it was never labelled or anything. We just about had the money to put a safety label on the bottom. But with our new ones, so they come in daddy issues. I should totally
Yo
know this.
Malone.
So
Yo
daddy
Malone.
issues, Yo Malone. Thank you, Sean.
Head melter.
Head melter.
And wanky
then the
candle.
wanky candle.
Yeah.
So you got a nice choice. And
Although we're sold out of wanky candle and head melter at the minute, but we'll have to get them back in.
that daddy issue. Sorry, I shouldn't be shocked by this because we did choose it, we made it. But that daddy issues is fucking good. Really good. So
I love them all.
The idea of that is it's that gorgeous smell that you get when you pass someone on the street and you know you
The
want
Lynx
to
effect.
ride the life out of them before they even turn.
Or it's also kind of like that's one way of that
Oh, that's-
smell.
that's my way.
Your experience. But the other thing is that there's a lovely, like whenever you put on maybe somebody's coat and they've just been wearing like lovely aftershave, there's like, you often get like a nice feeling of kind of like safety with it. Whether that is associated with a father or an uncle or a brother or a friend or whatever, like that kind of like warm feeling. And that's what they smell like to us. That's what we chose it on the basis of. But they're wonderful. So get on it,
That's
support
what
our
the
work,
crack is.
buy some nice
That was-
candles.
That was one of those boys, and again, you can find the new ones on our website. So next up, we're running a wee bit lower on our items now, but I'm sure we're sort of pretty well ready to finish. But this is something that's very, very special to us. And there's a great wee story behind it. This is a little leaf that was drawn even before we had the motif of the Monstera leaf on our logo or anything. We went to a little tattoo studio and we got matching tattoos. I think even before we were officially registered as a project.
Oh, a long time before that.
And you got one. Show your one.
So this is my one. I was thinking about this the other day, so that's my one.
And I got one on my chest. Oh, there we go.
So if you're
There we
listening, then to describe to you the leaf was we asked, it was Bali in White Dragon tattoo.
He's so talented, and we give him the most basic design and asked for no shading. He was like, "Are you sure you want this? Like,
Yeah.
I'm actually like a real star in this
Yeah,
world."
we just wanted the lines. But the thing was, we asked for a Monstera leaf and we sort of had like an idea of the size that we wanted in the placement. And he then drew this for us. So this is the actual like drawing that he did. You know, this is the real one. And we wanted a Monstera leaf, but actually the way it has ended up, it's more like a small Monstera, like a monkey leaf Monstera, I think they're called. And we then ended up getting one of those plants a few years later, and now we have them in our house and we absolutely love them. But the idea that we started, we picked the Monstera leaf as our motif for Another World, like back like 7 years ago, whatever it was. And then literally within a few months, we just had all the graphics done. It was ready to go. And then all of a sudden, every shop was full of freaking Monstera leaves, as they're like, you know, like at one stage it was pineapples. But before but you
It
still
was
get
one of the
bits-
biggest trends, though. It still hangs on in some of
Yeah.
the shops like TK Maxx and things.
Yeah, but it was just like everywhere.
Yeah.
And we had literally just picked it. It's happened with us for loads of things, but I suppose you don't know what you're influenced by. But Connor's influence on this was from the jungle, you know, was from a specific photograph of a leaf from your actual travels.
It was from,
you know?
I think, Guatemala. So I think Another World, the sort of the name and a very loose concept of sort of using your skills to support people and to show some love was there. But it came to me in a Guatemalan jungle, which it's quite a good story for a logo. A lot of people, you ask them and they're like, "Oh, sure, I just
Picked one I liked.
I just picked
The
one I
graphic
liked."
designer just gave me some ideas.
Which
But
is grand, that's
yeah, there's
fine.
nothing wrong with that. But it's nice to have something that's based in something real. But the full circle moment is that now we are putting in a project called Greenhouse that is like going to be filled with plants. We've already had people getting in touch to say, "Oh, I have a load of spare plants I can give you." We've already had like actual people who plants is their thing offering to partner with us so that we can give them space for plants and things like that. I'm not going to say who it is because we'll do an official announcement on it, but kind of all of the things that we want, like having plants and living stuff all around you, I think is really like a positive mental health tool as well. It's sort of, it's literally life all around you. And this new space is going to be able to, they're going to enjoy it. Sure.
There's something about the Monstera that I think is really interesting. So whenever I seen this, it was sort of crouched down, probably trying to have a bifter, while there was our group was walking on, and I remember looking up and seeing it sort of attached and sort of how it worked in the jungle and sort of how it sat within that space, because we're used to seeing them in wee pots and you buy them in B&Q and then they sort of slowly die in your house. But the Monstera is it's a really sturdy plant. It will grow most anywhere. It will grow in really quite a lot of shade, and it will use other elements within the rainforest or within the jungle to survive. So it will use other tree trunks to get further up, and I think it's now sort of it's made its way into following our choice of the logo, and then that trend, it's made its way into the bargain bin of TK Maxx in terms of design.
So now we can afford to buy the stuff.
But I think it's a really good tie, and it's a really good moment, especially when we're thinking about greenhouse and our brand new project.
It's gorgeous. Well, will we do one more and then we will wrap up?
I think we've got one more in us. So we'll have two things. I'm going to give you. In fact, I've got the one.
Okay.
I've got the one. So the one that was dumped, you'll never know.
Yeah.
We're going to have to go outside and burn it. No.
These are precious things.
But no, so this is something else that's off this board. This means so much to me. We probably shouldn't have taken it. We probably paid to lose it at the time. But this is a little key card for that same trip that we keep on talking about to Ibiza. We went to Ibiza one summer because I was in the middle of a breakdown down to top myself, and Becky was in the middle of a divorce, which wasn't really too depressing for you, let's be real.
No, not at all.
But that we still had to process, and you still had to deconstruct your life.
Yeah, and the thing that wasn't the intention but ended up being the most cathartic thing about it was me removing my attachment to material stuff and realising that you could live in a caravan and be very, very happy with basically a camping stove and sunshine, you know.
And not like, do you remember even like we rented the fridge? Do you remember?
The
fridge? And we could have like cold butter.
Yeah.
We
didn't even have butter eggs. We're vegan.
Do you remember being so all biz about stuff like that?
It was too expensive. We couldn't afford it, so we just had it for a week as a treat.
But it's moments like that sort of help to sort of hone your gratitude on not just the stuff that you can buy and that is available to us if we have it in our bank, but to the moments. You know, some of them were, I would say the vast majority of them were very, very difficult when it came to Ibiza. I was really in bits. But we've got such lovely memories from that island, and a lot of them come from this spot. So it's called Calanova Camping. It's in a place called Calanova in the north of Ibiza. It had a beach right beside it. There was lots of artists and creatives and wonderful performers and things that lived there. And we there was a wizard that lived on our bloody beach we used to see and go out and have coffee with and do all sorts of stuff with. But it's just a really special place. We've never quite got the money up to be able to get back and do that.
But it's another example of people doing you a solid. You know, we emailed them in advance, letting them know what it was that we were coming to do, and saying that we wanted to come like for the whole summer, and we had a caravan and things like that. And they gave us like a sort of like a weird spot, but they gave us it at a discount, which meant that we could afford it because it was like 4 months that we were going to be there for.
Yeah.
They really did us a solid. They were really sound whenever it came to like, you know, because we paid for maybe our first 2 months, but then we had to like make the money while we were there to be able to pay for the rest of it and to be able to buy food. And we lived on nothing while we were there. Like we didn't, the most like maybe we would have had, Connor didn't even drink then or anything like that. And then also then turned out to be celiac. So you weren't supposed to be drinking beer, but you didn't know that then. No. But the most we would have ever had, even alcohol wise, would have been like, you know, they get those big bottles of San Miguel that were maybe like €2 or something like that. Like that would have been like a major treat. But we weren't, you know, we weren't partying at all, but we kind of didn't feel like we needed to because there was a community already in the campsite, and you would just sit and chat to people outside your tent. Somebody would be going off to get a shower in the morning, and then you would have a pot of coffee on, and they would just like Sana would come and just sit down beside you and just sit and have a coffee with you. It was just like the closest experience to like kind of communal living that I've ever had, apart from the first time I was in Ibiza. But it was really beautiful. It was one of the most special experiences of our lives, and we couldn't have done it if it hadn't been for, again, the generosity of strangers who just kind of like took a punt to say,
And
okay,
trusted.
I'll just trust you, you know, that you're coming to do it, but you're coming to do what you say you're going to do. And we were. But yeah, it was a very, very special time. But if you're ever going to go to Ibiza and you want to have like a different kind of experience on the north of the island, go and check out Camping Calanova. And they have like tents that are already put up, and they have wee cabins, or you're hardly going to bring camping gear to Ibiza if you're travelling there,
No.
unless you're in a car if you're coming from Europe. But yeah, it's an amazing experience, and hopefully we'll get to go back someday.
I think we will. We'll talk. We'll do that episode. We'll talk all about it because it's really been very formative to our project and how we view the world and how we work with other people. And it was so very needed at the time. So we'll get into that someday. How are we doing for time, Seán? Have we been here for about 4 hours?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I think that is us. We've only really got a fart box left there,
And that's got another plan.
we've got a
Called
plan
Seán.
for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
me today on this chair.
But yes, thank you so much for listening. If you are listening and you want to come and lend us a hand, we would love that. We really need as many people or hands on deck as possible for Greenhouse, which is in the city centre, and we're making over the space, so we're painting and we're doing all sorts of stuff. So come and join and sign up to do that. Also, if you have some money, you can buy some merch. You can get it from our website. You can get it from Bullet Hotel, who are our charity partner for this year, or we're their charity partner for this year. Or if you've got just some money and you don't need stuff for it, and you want to help us out by to buy some supplies and all the rest of it to keep our lights on, then you can donate that on the links in our bio on social media and on our website. I swear, my energy and my voice has just died, and we're
Yeah.
about to go into our day.
Yeah, exactly. But also, if you want to come and get involved in Greenhouse, if you're an artist or creative and you run a community group and you want to hear more, then please register our expressions of interest form, which you'll also find in the link in our bio.
Thanks, Seán. We love you so much.
Yes,
Thank
love you,
you.
Seán.
I love you too.
We're trying to sign off here. Show some love.
Show some love. Bye.